Assalamualaikum and good morning. My name is Iman Aqeela binti HISHAMMUDIN. Today, I will be analyzing a sentence using synthetic concept that I have learned in EPC424. Specifically, my presentation aims to demonstrate first, understanding of basic sentence patterns, second, understanding of embedded clause and including relative clause and noun clause, third, understanding of embedded non-finite construction such as infinitive, gerund, present participle, and past participle phrases. And finally, understanding of non-restrictive modifier, NRM. The sentence I will be using for this analysis is when asked in a national survey we commissioned this year, Americans of all political persuasion expressed their support for federally funded research. I will break down this sentence step by step, starting from the overall structure and gradually moving into the embedded elements. First, let us look at the basic sentence pattern of this sentence. At its core, this sentence follows a simple declarative structure, which is subject plus verb plus object. If we temporarily remove the introductory clause, the main clause of the sentence is Americans of all political persuasion express their support for federally funded research. In this main clause, the subject is American of all political persuasion. The main verb is express. The direct object is their support. The phrase for federally funded research function as prepositional phrase modifying support. Therefore, the core sentence pattern can be summarized as noun phrase plus verb phrase. This shows that despite its complexity, the sentence is fundamentally based on a simple transitive verb structure, where the verb express takes a noun phrase as its complement. Next, I will focus on the subject noun phrase, which is American of all political persuasions. The head noun is this phrase, American. The phrase of all political persuasion is a post-modifying prepositional phrase. This prepositional phrase adds descriptive information about Americans. It narrows down the group to include individuals from all political backgrounds. More importantly, this modifier is restrictive, meaning it contributes essential information to the meaning of the subject. Without this phrase, the sentence would refer to Americans in general rather than a political diverse group. This demonstrates how noun phrase can be expanded through post-modification while still function as a single grammatical unit within a sentence. Now I will move on to embedded clause, which form a major part of this sentence. The sentence contains an embedded past participle clause, an embedded relative clause, and lastly, clause-like structure embedded within noun phrase. This embedded element allows the writer to include a large amount of information efficiently within a single sentence, which is common feature of formal and academic writing. Let us begin with the opening clause. When asked in a national survey we commissioned this year, this clause begins with when asked. which is a past participle phrase. Past participle phrase. Here, ask is the past participle form of verb ask. The subject of the clause is not explicitly stated, but it is understood to refer to Americans. In its full form, this clause can could be expanded to when American were asked in a national survey. This tells us that clause in a reduced adverbial clause, specifically a reduced passive clause. This demonstrates how participle phrases are used to reduce redundancy, make sentence more concise, and maintain a formal academic tone. Next, within the noun phrase, such as a national survey we commissioned this year. In this phrase, we can identify an embedded relative clause. The relative clause is we commissioned this year. This is a defining relative clause that modifies the noun survey. Some key features of this relative clause are the relative pronoun that or which is omitted. This is known as a zero relative clause, and the clause provides essential information identifying which survey is being referred to. If it is rewritten in its full form, it will be a national survey that we commissioned this year. Because this information is necessary to identify the survey, the clause is restrictive, not non-restrictive. This shows how relative clause can be embedded within noun phrase to add precision and clarity. Although the sentence does not contain a full finite noun clause, such as a that clause, it does contain clauses like structures embedded within noun phrase. For example, their support for federally funded research. In this structure, support is an abstract noun. The prepositional phrase for federally funded research function as a complement of the noun. This construction allows an action or idea to be packaged as a noun, which is characteristic of formal and academic writing. It demonstrates how noun phrase can carry prepositional meaning, similar to the function of noun clause. Now let us look at another embedded non-finite construction, federally funded research. The phrase federally funded is a past participle modifier. Here, funded is a past participle. It modifies the noun research. It has a passive meaning, indicating that the research received funding from the federal government. This is another example of how past participle phrase can function adjectively to modify nouns and condense information. Now I will address non-restrictive modifier NRM, which are also part of the learning outcomes. In this sentence, most modifiers are restrictive, meaning they provide essential information. However, the introductory participle clause, when asked in a national survey we commissioned this year, function as a sentence level modifier. This clause provides contextual background. It is separated from the main clause by a comma. and it does not affect the core meaning of the sentence. This is non-restrictive, as removing it still results in a complete and meaningful sentence. For example, Americans of all persuasion express their support for federally funded research. The sentence remains grammatically correct and meaningful, demonstrating the non-restrictive nature of the introductory modifier. To summarize the overall structure of the sentence, there is one main clause, a multiple embedded modifier, a combination of finite and non-finite construction, and both restrictive and non-restrictive elements. This illustrates how English syntax allows writers to layer information effectively while still maintaining clarity and grammatical accuracy. In conclusion, this sentence demonstrates a clear basic sentence pattern of subject plus verb plus object, an effective use of embedded relative clause, a use of past participle phrase to reduce full clause, and the role of restrictive and non-restrictive modifier in shaping the meaning. By analyzing this sentence, we can see how grammatical structures are built upon simple pattern, which is a key focus of EPC424. Well, that is all from me. Thank you.